Hello, I'm James Lancaster, Deputy Editor of Association Meetings International magazine. You join me at the headquarters of the Association of Surgeons Great Britain and Ireland for the latest in a series of interviews with high-profile association leaders. Today I'm joined by Professor Nicholas Gair, CEO of the association. Nick, how have the demands of your members changed? Are they getting more demanding as time goes by?
I think the answer to that is to say absolutely yes, and it's not just our members, it's us as associations. I mean, part of the journey I alluded to earlier is that we've changed ourselves from being a charity to being a company. And we've done that quite deliberately because we want to be offering membership benefits to our members. We want to be looking after their professional indemnity insurance. We want to be looking after their financial advice, their legal advice. Well, you can't do that as a charity. Our members are becoming much more professionally orientated. I mean, it will be our members and GPs who are commissioning services for the new NHS. These people are buying millions of pounds worth of service. They're getting £1 million research grants. Well, they're going to apply the same critique to their meeting. So what they want is not necessarily cheaper meetings, but value for money meetings where they feel that actually it's a world-class meeting. The dynamic for me is that I'm comparing venues around the UK because we're an association of surgeons of Great Britain and Ireland, so we wouldn't go to Germany for our conference. We want to be in the UK or Ireland. But my delegates are comparing us with the top-class venues around the world. I mean, some of these professors of surgery will be at 4 or 5 international meetings a year. The American College of Surgeons has 15,000 delegates in a world-class venue. Well, we need to be stepping up to that mark. So I think there's a lot more discernment around. The other interesting factor is that in terms of the health service here, people have less time to be away from the coalface. We're much more target-driven than we were perhaps 10, 15 years ago. So if they're going to be away from their frontline duties for 3 or 4 days, it's got to be real value. And that's value both in terms of what they get scientifically, what they get clinically, what they get professionally, and also what they get personally.
And what has been the impact of the pharma code?
It's been a problem to a small extent, but I actually don't think a bad extent. I think there needs to be some clear water between the two parts of the dynamic. But actually they can't cope without us and we can't cope without them. And I think probably the regulation has gone one step too far. But certainly by being a company, we can now act in a business-to-business relationship with our corporate sponsors rather than a charitable relationship, and that makes things differently. I mean, the industry itself provides hundreds of millions of pounds worth of education and training at no cost to the public purse. And that's training in new techniques, it's training in new procedures, it's training in new methods of doing things that we're doing. So actually there's a hidden benefit to the public which is immense. I think what has changed is that the industry exhibition of old is pretty much dead, to be honest. I don't think that either side are seeing real value in it. They count a spurious marker, which is footfall on a stand. Well, actually, if you've got 1,700 people there, we're not the motor show. You don't want everybody clambering over the cars. What you want are the 3, 4, 5, sometimes key opinion formers in that particular sector. Now, that's where I come in, because actually we can convert your spend from being an expensive, flashy plastic stand, which sits for 3 days and then goes in a skip, to actually being real long-term benefit in terms of educational resource, publications or media, and some of that may be electronic. So I think we've got to look at how we reconfigure ourselves to match what's actually happening in society. You can't just say, well, last year we had the village fete, so this year we're going to have the village fete, and paint over the date.
So what are your plans for the next 5 years, Nick? Do you think that far ahead? Presumably you do.
I've got conference venues booked till 2022. So yes, we are thinking that far front. And what I need from the venue is somebody that recognises that vision, is willing to adapt with us, to roll with what's happening in the world, and to shrink and expand as we shrink and expand. I mean, our big move at the moment, and you mentioned PCOs, but we effectively act as a PCO for a range of other organisations. So we have, at the current count, 4 conferences happening at once, which co-locate in a venue, and we provide all the background services for those independent conferences. Now, the benefit is that you have the Association of Trauma and Military Surgery, for example, that meet at the same time as us. They have their own discrete meeting, but that means there's cross-fertilisation of ideas, there's cross-fertilisation of lectures. So at our last meeting, we had the Chief Executive of the NHS. He came and spoke for 15 minutes to the military surgeons and launched them as an association, and then came and spoke for an hour with us. Well, from his point of view, he gets 2 very, very important groups of people, so it's good use of his travel time, and from our point of view, we get headline speakers at our meeting. So in 2015, for example, we've got an international meeting which will only ever come to the UK once every 25 years. We're co-hosting that, and I'm providing the PCO effectively behind the scenes to deliver that conference.
Nick Gair, thanks very much.
That's a pleasure.